Yeah, just a quick review of the Rolyan compression gloves for arthritis. So these gloves are made specifically for people that have hand arthritis. So they work to decrease the symptoms of hand arthritis in two main ways. The first thing is that they provide compression. So compression helps decrease swelling. So if you have swelling in your hand, in the joints, and you put the gloves on, you get that out, you're going to have more flexibility, you're going to be moving your hand better, and the pain is going to be better. The second way these things work is they just provide warmth. So we all know that heat helps arthritic symptoms. So you put these on, your hand gets a little warmer, blood flow gets a little better, everything gets more flexible, and in turn, you feel better. So those are the two main ways that these kind of gloves work. So a few points about these particular gloves. These have an open finger design, which I really like. So you can be able to use your phone, no problem. You don't have to worry about that. Also, if you enjoy doing things like sewing or knitting or any kind of fine motor coordination things, even using the computer keys, that kind of stuff. If it's closed tip, you'll have trouble. But if they have an open tip like this, you can put the gloves on, get some pain relief, and then still continue to do your activities, that you like to do, like sewing. You'll be able to sew longer, are able to do the activity at all. So I really like the open finger design. I think that's a good idea. The other thing is these also provide, they actually have told us how many millimeters of mercury of compression that these things have. Anytime you have compression garments, like for your leg or your arm, they usually measure these things in millimeters of mercury, just like your blood pressure. So mild is like 8 to 15 millimeters of mercury, moderate is like 15 to 20, and then firm is 20 to 30. So these are 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury, which is like a mild compression. I only know of one other glove that actually has isotoner. Actually, I've looked at a couple of those, and they actually rate the compression. And the two of those I've looked at have like moderate compression. So if you need a little more, you might want to look at the isotoners. But these have mild compression, which is good. At least you know how much. It's kind of like if you buy some skin cream that's got retinol in it. It's like, well, how much retinol is in this? Is there a therapeutic amount? It just says retinol. So I'm really glad that they went out of their way to tell you exactly how much compression's in there. Otherwise, you just put the glove on and it feels tight, but how much compression, So you got to have a certain amount, to give you that the therapeutic benefit. So this is mild compression, which is great. So permanent temporary relief, how does this stuff work? Well, basically, if you put the glove on, after about 30, 60 minutes, if you have any swelling in your hand, that's going to help get that down, the compression, and your hand's going to be a little warmer, so you're going to be able to move a little better. So then you'll feel better. However, if you take the glove off after about 30, 60 minutes, your hand's not going to be as warm. You don't have that compression. Some of the swelling might come back if you have any. So then it doesn't do anything for you. But I think there is actually a way to use gloves like these to get more permanent relief in the long run. So maybe you don't need the glove or don't need as much, or just to get more permanent relief of your symptoms. So we all know things. Let's say, take an example. You're going to have to do something else, like say exercise. We all know that exercise is a proven treatment for arthritis. Okay, if you get your hands stronger, you get them more flexible, you're going to be feeling better, and the pain's going to be less. But you can't do any exercises right now because your hands are painful and they hurt. You had a lot of discomfort. So what you do is you put the gloves on. After about 30 or 60 minutes, hands are feeling better, a little more flexible. Now you're able to do some exercises, okay, which are going to help you. And week by week, as your hands get less stiff, as they get stronger, more flexible, that's where you get that long-term carryover of pain relief. So for instance, as an example, treat your own hand and thumb osteoarthritis. There's some exercises you can do. Usually they'd be like, start off with like range of motion exercises. If you go to like occupational therapy or a hand therapist, they're always going to have you do range of motion exercises. So why is that? Well, range of motion exercises make your hands less stiff, but the joints in your hand are actually synovial joints that have synovial fluid. That synovial fluid carries nutrition to the articular cartilage, and it gets spread around through motion. So by moving, that's how you spread that synovial fluid around. So if you have decreased finger range of motion, you're just not really moving your hands or your fingers as much as you're supposed to. You're not going to get that synovial fluid spread around as much or to places that it needs it. So range of motion exercises ensure that you get that synovial fluid all over the joint, which is just going to help your articular cartilage. So yeah, you don't need to spend all day doing range of motion exercise. You just need 2 or 3 good ones for your stiff joints. Other thing you consider doing is making your hands much stronger, strengthening them. This book advocates like doing with a light dumbbell. So you can get like a 2 or 3 pound dumbbell and do a couple of exercises to work, like your pinch grip, your wrist and your finger flexors, it looks like. And then once you can do like a 2 pound dumbbell, if you want to get stronger, you use a 3 pound dumbbell and you just go up incrementally like that for the progressive resistance, because that's really what you need to get stronger. You need that progressive resistance. Even if you have base of the thumb arthritis, there is something you can actually do about that to help your symptoms. Here again, strengthening. There's a muscle called your abductor pollicis longus. You see how that sucker attaches right to the problem area right there. So if you get that stronger, we're only talking about one exercise using a rubber band a couple times a week. You get that stronger, you get more joint stability, okay? And the more stable the joint is, the more control over you have over the joint, the less symptoms you're going to have. So there's lots of things you can do, but hey, you can't do them now. Put on arthritis gloves like these. Do the exercises week by week. Your hand gets stronger, more flexible, and then you're going to be where you want to be. So yeah, good gloves. Check them out.